Hey guys, and welcome back to another Access 72 video, and in today's video I'm back with another interview and I'm here with Jack Bateson. Jack, how are we?
I'm good, thank you, mate.
Great, okay. Thank you
Good,
very much
man.
for coming on the channel, mate.
No worries at all, mate.
Great. So am I right
Good.
in saying you're 28, you're a super bantamweight, and you're 17-0?
That's correct.
Okay, great. Okay, well if you're on your anti and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do need like the video, and let's get straight into it. So, starting off this interview, I always like to go right to the very start of their careers. And so, the question which I always like to start off with is, why did you start boxing?
I started boxing properly at around the age of 9. It's always been in my life. My dad was a coach. My brother was a boxer when I started. And my brother was the boxer of the family, 3 years older than me. He was the boxer of the family, and he started to get fed up with it about the age of 12. And my dad had constantly pestered me. He coming to the gym, and I was never bothered, never fussed. Eventually, I gave in, and I went down to one of the sessions with him, and just to sort of shut him up. I got hooked on it, and from then on, it was just, every time go to the gym. My dad had my first fight at 11. Got the buzz of winning. Kept on winning. I think I got to about 14-0 before I lost my first fight.
Wow.
And that was my first fight for England, fighting against Ireland. And I remember crying for weeks, being gutted, and I just never wanted to feel that feeling again. And it's all just flashed by since then. It's crazy.
No, it shows even in the amateur game. It shows your passion to the sport. And so you said you got the 14 before you got the defeat. Did you? How many extra fights did you have after that defeat?
In the amateur game, I had about 120 odd amateur fights.
Wow.
With about half of those being at international level, which was really good. Some amazing experiences. Fighting all over the world. So yeah, I've been blessed to have boxing as a part of my life, and it's took me all over the place.
Definitely. I heard that you were a very successful amateur, and so you had the 120 fights. And why did you end up turning professional when you did?
I missed out on the Olympics for Rio 2016, and I think for me then it was do I wait another 4 years and wait for the next Olympics? But 120 odd fights as an amateur is a lot of fights, and I didn't want to take so many more years out of the game for me, and I needed something new to look forward to. So I decided to turn professional, and it's been the best move that I've made, to be honest. I feel like I've improved a lot since I turned pro, and yeah, I'm just enjoying life a lot more, living back home rather than in Sheffield with the squad, and life's good, can't complain.
Great. Okay. Well, you've going back to a couple of the previous answers. You said you had about 120 fights, and you were fighting since you were about 12 years old, and so that's been a long time. And so, what kind of as a person, obviously you got to do all the training camps, a lot of training camps, and so what kind of keeps you motivated?
To be honest, it's all I've ever known. I feel like, everyone's got goals in life, whether it's a job or something like that. But for me, it's always been boxing. When I was in school, I remember one of the teachers said to me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" That was like one of the sort of lessons of the class. And I said, "I want to be a boxer," and she said, "Told me to be more realistic."
Wow.
So hopefully now that I do it full time, and I've never had to work anything other in my life other than a boxer, she can see that it's quite realistic now. So yeah, it's always been for me boxing, and I feel I've dedicated my life to the sport, and it's getting to that point now where I feel like it's going to start paying back to me. So it's good.
Definitely. And so you spoke about how even your teacher was doubting you, and so I suppose that might have, in a way, kind of helped you further along in your career, because if you can use that any kind of negative energy you might get and turn it into a positive, that's always a good thing to be able to do.
Yeah, for sure, mate. It was just fuel to the fire, but there's been many things along the road that have happened. Any losses that I had in the amateurs, they were just fuel to the fire. People doubting you, which just naturally you want to prove them wrong. But so far so good in the pro game. the fuel to the fire for me now is that I've got a little girl who's almost 1 year old now, and she's all the reason I need to do well, and I want to do her proud. Wear her name on my shorts every time I fight, and got a bigger reason than just boxing now. So it's motivating every day for me. I think I've got a lot of reasons to do well.
Great. Okay. Well, you are doing very well at the moment, and
Thank you very much.
And so that's all right. And so you've had the 17 fights, completely unbeaten in the professional game. And out of all of these fights, if you could maybe, I don't know if you could, but if you could maybe pick me out a fight which you'd say you performed your best in.
To be honest, in my last few fights, the ones that I've been for, the titles and whatnot, I don't feel everyone's seen the best in me. I feel like them days are still to come. A lot of the work that I've done so well building up to the fights, there's always little things that go wrong in camp, in the build-up, on the night. So I feel like them days for me to really perform, the better the person in front of me, the better I'll do. I've always done well, don't get me wrong, but I've always done enough to go out there and get the win. But I feel when I'm really, really tested with the fights to come, I feel it will bring the best out of me for sure.
That's a great thing to have as a boxer. And so far you've had the 2 free title fights, and
yes,
and so you've now got the, as you can probably see behind you, the WBA Intercontinental Super Bantamweight title. And so how did it feel becoming that champion? It's a big prestigious belt.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. You dream as a kid of holding belts like that during your career, and firstly the English title was great, but the WBA just it looks the part, doesn't it? And it got me in the world rankings. I'm currently ranked number 15 by the WBA, so it was special. But every time you fight or you win a belt, you're always looking for what's next. I've got to defend that belt. Who am I fighting next? So it just never ends. Every finish line is the beginning of a new race, as they say. So looking forward to everything ahead, and I feel like I won't be fully content and happy until I pick up the likes of the British title and eventually a world title. But just got to keep moving forward.
Definitely. And speaking about moving forward, I'm interested, and I ask everybody this, but when will you be back fighting again?
I am fighting a date in November. I think there's an announcement coming at the end of this week. I'm fighting Shabazz Massoud in a British title eliminator. I'll be defending my WBA Intercontinental. He's another highly ranked fighter by the WBA and in Britain. And that's going to put me in line to fight for the British. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing the business, showing everyone what I can do out there, and I'm hopefully by this time next year I'll be British champ. So I just need to keep moving forward and defeat whoever's put in front of me.
Definitely. And so I'm sure you've got quite a good fan base from having the time in the professional game and the amateur game. And so just for anybody who may not know who you are and might want to maybe come watch your next fight, why should people come and watch you? What makes you interesting?
I feel like I'm an exciting fighter. I box, I fight, I do whatever I need to do sometimes, but I'm a switch hitter also, so I fight as an orthodox or a southpaw, just as well as one another. But yeah, I'm never really in a boring fight, and I'm blessed to have the city of Leeds behind me who are always supporting me. I've been lucky enough to have them follow me all throughout my career as an amateur and as a pro. But some big nights are coming, and if you want to see for yourself, come have a look, and I'll appreciate all the support. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to some big nights with all the people from my city and everyone supporting me to come along and see.
And speaking of having more big nights, how far do you believe you can go? You said the British is not as soon coming, but how far do you believe you can go from there?
I do genuinely believe I can be a world champion, and because the game is so hard and so time consuming, I wouldn't do it if I didn't think otherwise. So yeah, I think eventually, 5 years down the line, I'd like to say I've given my all to the sport, and hopefully I'll be a world champion. if I'm not, I will definitely know that I've given it my all.
That's great. And so you're now in the world rankings, like you said in your prior answers. And so, is there any kind of fights in the world kind of rankings that you'd maybe like to have, just maybe stylistic matchup, or just because you like them as a fighter or anything?
None stand out for me as like a one-off person, but there's a lot of good fighters out there. The four world titles, the four major world titles that I held at my weight are held by two different fighters. Ahmed Aliyev from Uzbekistan, who I know because from the amateur game, he was similar age to me coming up, and we were always in the same tournaments. He'd be a really interesting fight. And a guy called Stephen Fulton from America, who's also an excellent fighter. But I'd love to share the ring with these guys and just prove to myself and prove to everyone else what I can do.
Yes, definitely. And so you spoke about how you've got a lot of the lead support, and another fighter who's quite big at the moment has got a lot of the lead support is Josh Warrington. And I was just kind of wondering what's your thoughts on him as a fighter. He's got a new fight just being announced for December, and what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Josh is a good friend of mine. I grew up from a young age, in the same gym as Josh. He actually boxed my brother in the amateurs. So as I was fighting my brother, he was in the other corner, and but we were all friends. We all used to train together, and I've managed to get on a couple of Josh's cards. When he fought Lee Selby, I was on that. When he fought Kid Galahad, and another one, I can't remember the other one, but I've been lucky enough to get on them cards, and he's done amazing. He's done amazing for the city, and I just want to follow in his footsteps. He's fighting Lopez in his next fight, who's a good fighter from Mexico. But I'm sure he'll do the business and do the city proud once again.
That's great. Okay, and so I'll leave with this final question, which I've always liked to ask. You've got a little bit of a platform here. Would you like to shout anything out?
Just a massive thank you to all my sponsors and supporters, especially Jason Heselden, Hugh Boyle, the Property Buying Company, Stuart McKenzie, and I've got two more, Maria Malaban, which is James Bergen, and the last one, which is, and that might be all of them actually. Oh, Darren Long at Quanbeck. Yeah, that's all my main sponsors, and just thank you to everyone supporting me, and I'm looking forward to my next fight.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much for doing this interview, mate.
No worries at all. Thanks a lot for having me on.
And maybe in a few years, when you're fighting for these world titles, we can come back and do a return interview.
Definitely. Definitely, mate.
Yes, and you'll have a bigger collection of belts in behind you.
Yes, let's hope so.
Alright, okay, well, if you are new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do need like the video, and thanks for watching.